All right. Hello, people, and welcome to Knox Makers Tuesday Night Show and Share. Anybody first time at a show and share? Great. So we got some newcomers. Welcome. Excuse me. Tuesday nights are our times to meet and show what we've been working on, what we have finished or are stuck on, or have failed at. We welcome all types of projects from all types of people. And so it's just a way for us to see what everybody's been working on. So it's a fun time, and we have a big list this week. So we are going to get started with Rhubarb, who's going to show a drill press stand.
Oops. So I have a drill press here. It's a tabletop drill press, but the problem that I had was I had no tabletop space. So I decided to make a stand for it. This is the bottom of the stand, or the bottom of the drill press. It comes off with a few screws and makes it very easy to measure things. So I took that off, and it went on a field trip with me to the Knox Makers space. At the space, I was able to cut some of the metal here, and had bought some hardware. And this is for a kind of a foot that goes into the underside that you see here. After welding it together, I drilled some holes into it using the drill press itself. Notice it's on the ground, not ideal. And then I was able to attach some of that hardware using bolts and nuts and all that good stuff. This is the other side of it. And then attach these poles to it. That's going to create the height that I needed. If you notice, one of the poles is slightly longer than the other one. More on that later. I needed a big, heavy base for the bottom of the stand. So I got this plate. It's, let's see here. It's a little over 2 feet by 2 feet. But I did some measurements, marked out where I needed to put holes. I wanted holes in each of the corners so that I could have feet that kind of level out the base of it. And then I needed 8 additional holes in the center where the poles are going to be going into. So instead of having a drill, I just did a cutting torch and just popped some holes into it. You can see all the holes here. And that was the final product. A little hard to see from this angle, but it is tilting a little bit forward because of the different height of the different poles. And I don't know why, but it's also kind of rotated a bit, and it's tilted in another direction. So it's all over the place. But it's good enough for what I need. If I care more, if it's giving me trouble later, it's modular enough where I could replace the top part and make it level just by replacing that top part. One additional thing that I plan on doing is painting the bottom, possibly black or with stripes or something, just to paint it. So that's all I got.
All right. Coming up next, Sue is going to show a butterfly to shirt.
Quite a while ago, we had a tatting class. That is not needle and ink. That is needle with thread. So tatting, the old-fashioned art of lace making. And in that class, I did a butterfly. As you can see, the butterfly is quite small, and it took me about 4 hours. Yes. Practice does make perfect, but I wanted to get better, so I thought, I kind of like this. I'm going to go ahead and do a doily. It had lots of instructions, and as you can see, well, maybe you can see, it's been folded many different times. It's been taken quite a while. I've worked on it. I've gotten now to where I can do each of these little 4 petals, which is basically the butterfly. in 20 minutes. So I have improved quite a bit. However, my accuracy has not improved. So, so yeah, that was try again. But eventually I got this thing under control. And I feel pretty good about the finished product, except I don't use doilies on my tabletop. So I sewed it to the back of a shirt. Now this is the finished product, and it is on the back of a shirt. So butterfly to shirt.
How long did that take?
A lot of 20-minute pieces. Any others? Tracy?
Did you just sew it at like certain points, or how did you attach it?
I just
Tack up with it?
tack, you might say that, yes. Across each of these points, I also kind of did a whip stitch in white over each of these. Hopefully it's going to stay. This might give you an idea. Okay. It might be. I tried 2 different shirts, different brown colors. I was trying to decide which one to do. And I'm really glad I didn't pick the lighter brown because it was very lightweight and it would dry very quickly in the dryer. And if you've ever played with the crochet thread number 10, it's very heavy and it's going to take a full day to air dry for sure. So this is a little heavier weight, so hopefully the whole thing won't slide down my back. Yeah, like it might have with that lighter weight fabric. But good question. Anything else? All right, thank you all.
Thank you for that, Sue. Next up, Tracy is going to show the Audrey house.
Is anybody a fan of Little Shop of Horrors? Yeah? Okay, so what I thought would be cute is to take another Barbie house, and then it's obviously it's not lit up right now, but there's this great big outdoor light that's a ball shape that when you plug it in, all these windows glow, which is really cool. And so I just thought I'd show you what I was trying to do with it. It's not done, but so let's see. There's one of the Audreys that I've got together. What I thought I would do was take artificial flower stems and see if I could get size I liked for a leaf to go over her head, and then attach it, with hot glue. So this one works so far. And then I made these eggs, but as you can tell, I had to put these counterweights on the bottom because if I stick them in the, if I stick the Audreys in here, which I have done, but this one is a little more troublesome. But obviously, it'll fall over with all the Audreys I'm going to put into it. So counterweighting hopefully will work. I'm going to see if that works. If you have any suggestions, let me know. But it's a work in progress. I wasn't sure. I just print several different sizes to see which one I like best with the head. Can you see that? So there she is. So I'm just playing around with sizes. I think I like this larger size best, you know, that kind of gives that slight exaggeration, so that's super fun. And then I'm gonna use, I took a bunch of different tentacles from different models that I liked on Thingiverse and Prusa, and I thought I could make those work. I could, it's probably hard to tell there, but. So I'm going to give her some tentacles and put them in this egg and plug it in, and it'll be awesome. And I'm going to have her little head sticking out, well, several Audrey heads sticking out. And then I've got these mini Audreys I thought I'd put in little tiny pots or something. So that's what I'm working on. And the inside, I think I could probably show you. See, there's this big outdoor ball. I'm gonna plug in. This is paper I just decoupaged on there because I kind of liked it. And it looks pretty cool with the Audreys inside. But anyway, it's a work in progress. And that's it. Any questions? Hey.
Have you thought about maybe doing like magnets in the base of that so that it would stick there, and try to do as many counterweights, it would stick onto a piece of metal or something?
That's a good idea. I like it.
Maybe fill it with epoxy. Maybe fill it with epoxy and some salt, some really good weight. Yeah.
I should have thought of that before I glued this all together. But obviously I can make more. That's what 3D printers are for. But any other questions? Suggestions?
What type of printers do you have?
We have 2 Enders. So Ender, I think I have an Ender 2. My husband has an Ender 3. I always mix those up, so I'm not, don't quote me on that, I'm not sure. Anything else?
Was the house, did you print the house out, or was that?
No, actually, this is just a Barbie house I picked up at a yard sale for like nothing.
Cool.
And I spray painted it because obviously, well, actually, if I wanted to, we're thinking about getting a much larger printer, the larger scale. So because then you can print out larger pieces, obviously, or, you know, it's nice to have multiple printers so you can print, 15 pieces, not all in, on one. But anyway, yeah, that's a great idea. We're looking forward to printing out big pieces, big houses. But for now, it's Barbies. Anybody else? Okay. Thanks, guys. Butterfingers. Thanks, Dad.
All right. Coming up next, Isaac is going to show a mid-century mod.
Hello, friends. After my miserable failure at mold making recently, I needed a win. I don't know if y'all can associate. Sometimes I have to change the subject. So this is a totally different project. My girlfriend and I decided that we wanted to redo our living room in mid-century modern style. And for me, the fun part is trying to conceal within that style contemporary amenities without undermining it. So first thing on my mind was the media console where all the goods are in the living room. And so we were looking for a record player, like an old school one. And this is one that she found at an estate sale for very little money. It's kind of got the feel that we were looking for. You can see inside of it, it came with a radio and a record player, neither of which worked whatsoever, which helped to assuage my guilt when I ripped its guts out. The outside of this cabinet is nice. It's made of actual wood, from a time when that was a thing you could buy. But the inside is terrible. The inside was made of fiberboard and chipboard, and so disassembling it to this point, removing all the internal structure, meant basically using an oscillating tool to go through a lot of glue. And so here I've basically preserved the bones of it only. And so having gotten to this as a starting point, the next thing I did was to put a new floor in it because that original chipboard floor was coming apart. In fact, one of the feet had actually broken out and torn out a chunk of the floor. So here I'm actually affixing 3 different levels of floor to reinforce it structurally, but also to give it more density so that it hopefully will not vibrate against the hellish force of my speakers. And then also, too, to raise up the center channel so that it can sound through the front grills without impediment. So having got the floor established, I then put new structure inside, basically just enough to establish this middle floor here where the receiver and the Roku and the Nintendo Switch and all that type of jazz could sit. And then I had to cut the back of it, which I wasn't really thrilled about. Surprisingly, there was a really nice solid piece of wood across the top and also a smaller one across the bottom. And there was no question that was adding rigidity to the thing, but they were in the way because the receiver is too deep, the center channel is too deep. The side channels were not too deep, but I wanted them to be able to go in from the back. And of course, they also needed their ports to be able to breathe. So I got on that with a jigsaw and opened those areas up. And also used a router to take this bottom down just a little bit so that there would be a continuous bottom surface for the center channel to sit on. And there I'm test fitting the new speakers that go in there to make sure everything goes in okay from the back and that nothing is, causing trouble. And that worked out okay, so I felt emboldened to move forward. And here you can see my cat. Also, this is one of the original speaker grills, which of course we wanted to keep. And what I was doing here was trying to make sure that the speaker would play through that grill without any substantial impediment. So you can see that the tweeter here is centered on that hole, and the driver is covered only a little. So it's a little bit of a compromise sonically, but hopefully not too much. The next step was to put new grill cloth on these injection molded plastic grills. I didn't take a photograph of that part, but I got some grill cloth that was the right color and texture from the original piece and just hot glued that in. Originally there was a fiberboard piece behind it, but it only existed to hold the tiny miserable little driver that used to be there, so I decided it was not needful. And then the next step was working on that center section, which was really the biggest change because originally that was a solid panel. It was a veneered plywood, but because I wanted my center channel to go there and play out, it had to be open. And so this is a new grill that I made to go over that section using 1/4-inch Baltic birch on the laser cutter. And here I'm wrapping it with grill cloth. This is a different grill cloth, one that I selected to be color match and sort of roughly variegated to be similar to the woods of the cabinet, hoping that it will suggest a similar appearance to the original product. And for fun, I also cut an old school Sears Silvertone logo out of a piece of shiny golden acrylic that I found in the laser room. It was covered in dust, and so I felt like it was up for grabs, but if it was yours, tell me, because I used it. At any rate, what's happening here is I had planned into that laser cut grill structural support for that logo, and I'm backlighting it so that I can land it right on top with the glue and hopefully not make a mess out of it. And that's what's going on there. And so here you can see the back of the project, basically at the conclusion. Some of the wiring has been done here, so you can see the speakers are hooked up. The main reason I wanted to show you the back, though, is because of this little detail that I'm kind of pleased with. This was Jessica's idea, but I really like it. This is the original designation plate that was on the piece that we started with, so we preserved that and put it back on the piece so that future generations will understand what has occurred. And here is the end product put together. In this particular photo, you can see it's backlit a little bit, so you can kind of see through the middle. I don't think that'll be a problem once I get it parked where it lives, but that's what it looks like, and I feel reasonably satisfied with it. This is an unusual thing to me. Not only did I get to the end, I don't mind looking at it, so yay. Yes, sir.
So the lid, what did you do with the lid?
Well, the lid is unaltered. It still flips open, and when you open it, then that gives you access to the Nintendo Switch, so you can pull the thing out, and take it with you. Sir?
So the original 4 legs, top, left, and right are the original piece. Everything else you custom built. Have you thought about just building it?
No, I had not. Also, I forgot to mention that I The original legs were like 6 inches tall, and I thought they were surprisingly dowdy. They didn't really evoke the time period. I don't know if they were original or not, but the ones that I added to it, well, it's too late for this now, but they have the little golden stripe that's so typical of the era, so I like them better.
I thought those were the original because I saw that.
Yeah, snappy, huh? Yeah, no. Anything else? Right, thank you.
All right, coming up next, Susanna is going to show happy coats? Coots? Coats.
And they're happy, that's right, that's right. These are well-adjusted coats. All righty. So, for those of you that were here last year, we go to Otakon every summer. It's usually at the end of July or right around the beginning of August. And last year, we put together these coats for our department, which was the hallway costume contest, right here. And we came and we, Simone, by we, I mean her, cut these out on the Cricut and she put them on with the hot press here. And these are super cool. Not only are they shiny right now, but they'll glow in the dark if you hit them with a black light. It was very nice because with the hallway costume contest, we go backstage and have to get the people who have come to the contest to go across the stage for their catwalk. And now they can find us, yay. So the process that I went through to put these together was on my iPad here. So this is the drawing for that original coat. Now, it went over really well. I feel lucky that nobody hit me over the head because there were only 6 of these, and we were in a crowd. They had over 40,000 people. How many did they have last year? 40,000? 40,000 people, and there were a lot of people that where did you get that coat? And I had to tell them, ooh, you cannot have one. And the first time or two, not a big deal, but when people keep asking you and asking you and asking you, you start feeling a little uncomfortable. This is my coat and it's a size small and it won't fit you, so you can't have it. So in order to, kind of appease the folks who still cannot have one of these because they're just for the hallway costume contest, because we made them for that purpose, we made some new ones this year. And yeah, this is the one that we made for this year, and this was for all of the cosplay departments. And it was super helpful because we're now generally hitting over 40,000 people, and the people that have to do the cosplay things need to be seen. And in a crowd of 40,000 people, you need for somebody to be able to find you. So there we have it right there. And those went so well. There was another fella who, he has a group that gets together and they do Pokemon. And so I made a coat for them so that they can be identifiable. I think they're gym leaders and people have to come and fight them, but it's not a real fight. There's Pokemon, but I don't think they're stuffed animals. I think it's a game. I don't know, but that's how they find them. And they go and they have their fight and then they can win and then they get a pin and then they can go run around to different parts of the convention and say, I don't like this pin that I won. I want a different one. You have to trade me because I brought it to you. And I don't know, it works. They have a great time. But those are the coats, and the part that I did was the drawing, and I did these all in this vector format on Affinity Designer. Put it together, many layers, took a long time, super annoying, and then we sent them out to get printed because we had to have more than 1 or 2 made. But these are all done dye sub printing, which I think we're getting one, or do we have one, or we're getting it?
It's on its way.
It's on its way. But yeah, this is all dye sublimation printing, and she did that part, so she can talk about that part.
I used a drop shipping company called Yoicol, and they've got this really bad interface that you take the pieces of the design and you put it together, and then you spin around their little 3D model of it, and you see that they've not accurately displayed how the pieces are put in on the template, and then you move it around and then you check it, and then you move it around and then you check it until it's lined up. Yeah.
But, yeah, that's it. That's our project. Do you have any questions? Questions? Yes.
So you come up with a design, you ship it off to this company that doesn't do a good job, and then you tweak it, and do they send you shirts or coats or blank material?
So it's the website's called Yoicole, and it's the designer is split into two sections. It's like a flat layout of it where you put the elements in, and then it will give you a rendering of what it will look like printed, like of the garment as a 3D object. And there's like translation changes between the two. But once you have it looking how you want in the 3D model of it, then you order it, and it's the garment that you put it together on. So in this case, it's the coat.
Yeah, but the way that it works, it's like an instant prototype. So, like, after I made the design, what happened was we were originally going to go with the first coat manufacturer, but they apparently don't check their email. And so, like, at the last minute, they're like, oh, yeah, we can't do it. And we're like, oh, man, this really sucks. What are we going to do? And so she went out and she found this other place, and they did the instant prototype. So she took my elements and then put them into their designer, which then in another window showed her a 3D rendering of what it would look like. You have the images? Yeah, it was super cool because we could look, all she had to do is move things around, and then it would move things around in the picture of the coat right beside it.
Does it stretch the
Yeah.
material, or
So-
does it just cut it differently?
That's what the 3D model looks like.
So they actually send you the product already sewn up and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can select the size.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So roughly, what does something like that cost to produce?
I believe for this, it's the base price is like $8 per piece plus shipping, which was like, it's from China, so the shipping is expensive, but like total it was less than $15 per coat.
Per coat, yeah.
Yeah.
Those are coats.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no minimum. The prices scale. They're cheaper if you order a bunch.
Yeah.
Again, the name of the company?
Yoicole, it's Yoycol. They have a whole bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll pass these around so you guys can see what they like, and you can feel the texture of the different fabrics. For the dye sub printing, it all has to be like a high percentage of polyester, so like you can't really get around that. But there are different textures that you can get, and you can see like what some different kinds feel like.
One other question. How you sold it to the second and third group jackets, is that what you said?
Yeah.
And I'm kind of nosy. So you have a low cost for such a beautiful garment. I hope you got a good profit for.
We didn't get any profit. This was all the
Nice.
well, the Otakon is a 501c3 nonprofit, and they let us use the logo and that sort of thing because we don't get any money for it. So it's it's for our bragging rights. We got the good happy coats. We might have to fight to keep them, but that's it.
What? Otakon is an anime convention in Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have your?
I was gonna say, you have. I'm next. Okay. She's next. She's gonna show a custom hoodie.
I do lots of things with clothes, if that wasn't apparent. I made this custom hoodie for my Model United Nations Club at UT. So this is vinyl that I cut out and then heat pressed on. It's a puff vinyl, so it like has more dimension to it than a lot of the typical heat transfer vinyls. So. So this is the logo for the club because it's got the United Nations laurel with the circle, but then it combines it with the Tennessee Powerball. And then on the back is the entire United Nations logo with an orange gavel on it because the Model United Nations Club at UT holds a conference for high schoolers called Volman, and all of the chairs have bright orange gavels that they use because it's like you're doing the United Nations, and we serve as like the chairs for the committees, and we run everything, and so people have these big bright orange gavels, and I thought it would be cool to have matching hoodies. Any questions?
Did you do
Right.
the same material on the back as you did on the front?
Yeah, it's puff vinyl. I can pass it around so you can feel it. It's
And then
like,
when you pressed it, did you have to like press it with an iron or?
it was a
how did
heat
you-
press. It has to have really high
Okay.
pressure on it, or it like gets weird and wrinkly. And it's kind of a little weird and wrinkly because I didn't press it hard enough. But yeah.
All right. Coming up next, Jonathan is going to show a lantern in progress.
All right, so need a little ledge up here. So I made a lantern. My mom had a lantern that had a metal frame, and the metal frame rusted out, and so I saved the glass pieces, and I wanted to make it into a piece that I could give back to her and recreate the lantern. So I said, hey, let's make this out of wood because I think it would really accent everything really nicely. And so I still have yet to make a top for it. That is still in progress. But my goal is to put a small, just a light to kind of illuminate it. Nothing too crazy, nothing too bright. It's just a small accent piece. But going through this, it has been very challenging for me because none of this is really in my wheelhouse. And so I said, this is something I've never done before. So I started off with some pine board. I have known from a couple of the other projects that you've got to really mock stuff up before you cut into the good stuff. And so I started with pine, and I didn't know how I wanted to groove and the wood to put the to put the glass. And you could have put little brackets on the back and put it in, but that didn't sound challenging enough. So I wanted to put grooves in there, and so I started with a piece of pine. I wasn't quite sure the size and dimensions, so I spent probably a good half of the day just trying to make these posts. And so I finally settled on something that looked good. I made 4 of them and kind of mocked it up a little bit. And you can see right there, maybe. Yeah, it's kind of coming into focus, but you can kind of see figuring out where the spacing on that groove went was a lot more difficult than what you would think, because you got to figure out how far deep in and how far back set. I can't tell you how many times I ran into this problem where I ran out of support material on the wood. So I finally came up and settled on this configuration, and I found a scrap piece of wood in the scrap pile that was nice, kind of darker looking, and went through and made the base and everything. So I'm still got to figure out what I'm doing on the roof, or I don't like what I did with the base here. So I'm either going to rip the base off and start over with it, or try to cut it down and make it a different geometric shape. So not 100% sure on that, but that's kind of where I'm at. Any questions?
Where does glass come
It was a lantern that my mom had, and so it was previously it was all metal, and she lives down in Florida, and anything metal in Florida does not last long. I have no idea. It is, yeah. Oh yeah, no. That's part of the process. So I got to get it finished before I put a sealant coat on it. But she doesn't necessarily. So I don't know if it will be an outside fixture or an indoor fixture. So it's that is up to her. But I'm going to make it so that she can put it outside.
Are you going to do like a solar light on the top? Or what?
Yeah, so this is just a little solar light. I don't necessarily know if it's what I want to use, but just something simple I got off Amazon for, I think it was like $5. I tried fairy lights because I really liked that idea, but when you put the fairy lights inside here, there was already so much going on with the glass that all the little fairy lights really took away from the actual glass. It was very distracting. Okay. All right. Thank you, guys.
Next up, Thea is going to show some bobbin lace. Bobbin lace.
So, as sewers can relate, we end up with these fabric stashes. And then I had an old pattern. There was a historic reproduction that I wanted to make that required some lace trim to cover up the seams for the princess seams at the center of the blouse. And these days when you go to the fabric store, all you can find is white lace. You can rarely find anything to color match a fabric. So I decided that since I already crochet and knit and do all these other things, I'll just try bobbin lace and I'll make my own. So a couple of years before the pandemic, I bought a bobbin lace kit off of the internet, worked through it once, and then started working on the yardage. I think I ended up with 48 inches of lace, and it probably took me a year and a half. I'm a little faster now, just like Sue talked about the learning curve. But then after I finished what I wanted to do, I set it aside and didn't touch it for a couple of years. And now I'm getting interested in a couple of additional projects, so I picked it back up. This is the 50 weight DMC, and that's the weight that I actually made the trim out of. This, which doesn't show up very well, I'll have this in Fiber Arts. It's still got all the bobbins attached to it, so I don't really want to pass it around. So this is how you actually work it. You make a knot and you put the pin in the middle and then you close the knot and you're working with the bobbins, which is why it's called bobbin lace. But I decided to do an experiment, number one, larger thread to see how much more sturdy it is than the original, and I wanted to add a little bit of color to see how the color travels through the pattern. But this is the original pillow that came with the kit, and it's just foam. And then after I got into it a little bit, I wanted a larger pillow, but the bigger pillows cost a lot more. So I decided to build one. That actually didn't go too badly, but I had to take the cover off and wash it last week. So after show and share, I'll be around for about a half an hour in Fabric Arts, reassembling the pillow if anybody's interested in how they're made. So, any questions?
How long does it take? Like what you got going on there?
This bookmark took me about 3.5 hours.
It would look cool just in a shadow box, the whole thing
Yeah.
going on there.
And I I'm actually gonna replace this pillow because I made 2 larger ones, and now I've decided I kinda want a smaller lap-sized one. So when I replace this pillow, it would be available for some kind of art project, so that's an option. Any other questions? Thank you.
Next up on the list, Evan is going to show laser cut gears.
This is nothing too crazy, but I took the laser authorization class over the weekend, so I've just been playing with that nonstop. I just put that together. Right before this, there was a little plug-in on Inkscape that let you put in the size of the gears and stuff that you want, and pops out nice and easy. And I'm planning to put them in a box that I'm making with. We'll have like an acrylic window on the side so you can see all the gears moving and actually actuate the top of the box open and close, and maybe that'll happen, and maybe it'll come up here. Yeah. Thank you.
Simple and effective. All right. And then the last name I have on my list, Colin is going to show a success, failure, success, recovery, success-ish.
Well, good evening, everyone. As you know, most of my time spent out in the forge, so the first thing we ever do is make the tools that we need to make whatever we're going to make. Hence, we have what on the face of it is a lump of metal, and it is. It's actually a drift designed to make a triangular hole in a piece of metal, and to make it, and you drive that through. And I made that from a square piece of metal, a railroad spike. I had to thicken it up, called upsetting, and that was about 2.5 hours work, and we're very pleased with the outcome. Unfortunately, it turned out to be completely useless. Because the hole that I made turned out to be slightly off center, and anytime you're hitting a lump of metal with a hammer, there's always things will go wrong. And so it just didn't work out. The idea was that it would have a twisted end, and it would all look very clever and all the rest of it, and it didn't work. However, the success part was that end of it, which is forging a leaf, and the intended to have like an organic feel to it, and when it was first made, it would hang. This little hook piece was that way, and that didn't work out terribly well. So I put the twist in it, again, just for a decorative thing and to make it all line up. And then you wonder what it's for. Well, this is when you get really popular. Because you take one of these, and you take one of these, and you do that with it. There you go. Actually, yes, I can. Look, it still works. Anyway, so when you look at this piece closely, and I don't know if we can, what's the up and down button? If you can see that line there, that's where the hole was, because I put the drift through, made it triangular, but it was not fit over the top of a bottle, and when I tried to put a lip on it so that it would catch the edge, that was an absolute failure. Disastrous. So I squashed it down, kind of forge welded it back together, and just bent the tip over, and it seems to work. So we went from success to failure to success to failure to recovering it and making it all work. And then we went out and we, using a thinner piece of metal, we went a slightly different path and made that one. And this is, again, you forge your leaf, you draw the shank out.
You're zoomed way.
Oh, I'm zoomed, I am indeed. Let us widen the view out. Okay, so you forge the leaf, draw the shank out, square this off. This is made from a piece of 3/8 diameter round bar. Again, the end is forged in much the same way, but then you heat the whole thing up, clamp this to a piece of bar, and just wrap it around. And then you have to twist it off afterwards. And again, there you go. That one works too. I'm on call, I work up at the airport, so I can't actually drink tonight, but there you go. That's about it. If anybody got any questions? Yes, sir. I have had, this one has opened like 4 or 5 bottles of Old Speckled Hen back home. That one cracked open a pair of London Pride from Fuller's. So yeah, they do get used. And I actually started that one on the day of the Makers Market. So.
I saw you start that.
Oh, right, okay. All right. Well, we'll pass those around.
All right, so that was the last name I had on my list. Is there anyone who has something to share that didn't get on the list? Yeah? You got something?
I'm almost 30, so it just takes me a long time to get up here. 79 pretty soon. Somebody here might, my name's Charles. Somebody might know direction to point me in. That's why I'm coming. I have been making designs, and you just put this under here. Oh, okay. I'm so slow it takes me time to get my own humor. Okay, so this is now how do you get it? How do you get it? Oh, okay. I'll give you some money afterwards. Okay, so this is a method. I made a carpet about the size of that, a little bit bigger for my wall. And I asked AI, how do I make a carpet? And it said, well, you cut out pieces of carpeting and you can glue it on some backing. So that was a pretty easy way that I figured out pre-AI. But somebody here might have a better solution for making carpeting. And I'll give you an idea why I'm looking for this. I am currently making blankets. This is parts of 3 different blankets. I do the design. I like to use, instead of drawing like I used to, I do still do some of the drawing, but I find cutting out paper or doing a basic drawing and then taking a photograph of it and then taking it into Photoshop or other apps and doing some painting or whatever comes to mind. So this one here was assisted with an AI. And what I'm looking for is to take it from blankets to carpeting or fabric. So that's what I'm currently working on. I'm sorry?
Have you heard of a tufting
and I didn't mean to ignore you, but a tufting gun. I think the gang that beat me up last week had one. No, I haven't. It's a gang wearing orange bikinis, by the way. What is that, sir? Or maybe we could talk afterwards.
Yeah,
and
I can show you.
yeah.
It uses yarn to punch into a fabric, and you can steer it all around.
Oh, cool. Okay, so there's one possibility there. Thank you very much. And sir?
So these items, you took larger pieces of carpet, cut it down, and used it as a material to bond onto?
For this particular piece, I got the idea of just get some plain jute, hung it on the wall, cut like this curtain here, stretched it out, and then just found different carpeting. And back when I did that, I got it for free. So now you buy it. You're not going to get even their scraps for free, but it works. It's good, but I really would like to take it to the next level. You know, I think. Yes, sir.
Do you know what hook rug is? When you hook a rug? Have you ever seen hook rug?
No,
A short piece of yarn with
yeah.
a hook that you pull through. They sell hook rug kits, and you can buy just the yarn.
Okay, like the blankets I showed you, we all heard of Fujifilm, right? Well, here, if you have any designs that you really love, you can take it to Walmart, and they have for $85 plus tax. I'm getting my carpets made, or not carpets, excuse me, my blankets made, and they're very woven, not printed, and they're about 5 feet wide and higher than me, about 7 feet, for only $99, I think, when you add the tax, something like that. So I'm making like different prints like this right here. Oh yeah, back out here. Well, you get the idea. I don't know how to run the machine, it's not working. But these here, I would like to be able to make it into fabric and then make like those beautiful jackets that they presented, and bags, handbags, and different types of things. So the reason I came is I would like to, you know, pick your all brainiacs, and see if I can take it to the next level. Any questions more? Okay, I only charge $5 a piece for answers. Okay, thank you.
All right, and did anybody else have something to show? Yeah? All right, great.
My name's Mike. My fiance, she's still at work, but we're going to sign up for the Knox Makers here pretty soon. But I sew is one of the things that I do. I got my grandpa's sewing machine when I was 10. It's what my grandpa made my mom's Barbie clothes with. But started out making weird things, but I needed things that were more useful that I couldn't afford. So I could buy the fabric and make a lot of them. So I guess this is something that I made about 6 years ago. So I'm a big fan of the fanny pack. I keep medical supplies in here and some like basic needs stuff, but it's 1,000 denier cordura. Oh, what did I do? Did I press something? Ah, thank you. Oh, I guess it's that. It'll get there. So, spin it around. 1,000 denier cordura, so it's highly water resistant. It's probably worn out over the years, so it's not quite as water resistant. But you know, it's something that I keep everything, my wallet and medical equipment with me. But I had a need for certain things and couldn't find it exactly like I wanted. Everybody made some variation of the thing that I wanted. So I just got creative with old Singer sewing machine. I've moved up to an Industrial Brother, and it served me pretty well to the point where it's probably going to die here pretty soon. So it's one of the reasons that I'm going to sign up for Knox Makers. Any questions?
Did you make that from scratch, or did you modify something?
Yeah, so I bought 1,000 denier cordura in like a big bolt of fabric and different random lengths of webbing, Velcro, or hook and loop, whatever we're allowed to say here. ITW Nexus buckles, which are kind of mil-spec buckles, so they're rated for high and low temperatures, and they're impact resistant. I didn't put a waterproof zipper on this because I ran out experimenting and failing, and waterproof zipper is very expensive. But yeah, it's all from scratch. And then the back side is just 1,000 denier cordura, and I keep kind of a little bit of everything in there. Actually, I used this tourniquet at one point to save a guy who got hit by a car. He had a tib-fib fracture. He was all twisted in his bicycle, and his leg just started swelling up, and sure enough, I was there and jumped out, saw the swelling, threw a tourniquet on. He had a head wound too, so I addressed that and waited for EMTs to show up. So it came in handy. Yes?
So when you said you saw several different ones, did you combine them together and sketch out what you wanted? And so this is a custom pattern as well?
Yeah, so it's totally custom pattern. I'm not big on making patterns. I kind of just, okay, the dimensions of this particular one is this, but I need it to be so much bigger, and I'll just draw it out on fabric. This is, out of the prototypes, this is number 2, and I'm happy with it. And from there, I think the only thing that I would change is I would put a waterproof zipper on. But I still haven't had a problem with too much rain or anything. We moved here from Florida in November, so like water happens, you know. Any other questions? Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Going once, twice, sold. All right. So we have some announcements and some classes coming up. We'll start with the classes. Tomorrow at 6:30, we have the embroidery machine authorization. So if you want to use the fancy embroidery machine in Fiber Arts, that is tomorrow, and that is still has tickets, correct? Yeah. The Woodworking 202 and Machining 100 classes on the 24th and 25th are sold out. The Jewelry Soldering 101 class on Saturday at 10 a.m. Is that the first one, Rob? Yep, the first ever jewelry soldering class. So that's sort of the jewelry making mini zone we have in back there in Bay 3. And that is Saturday, 10 a.m., like I said. Milling 101, that class is sold out. And but Woodworking 101 on Monday the 28th at 6:30 still has tickets available for that. Also, if you are a new member, trial member, or interested in joining Knox Makers, we have a new members onboarding next week at 7:30 after the Tuesday night show and share. That is a requirement for becoming a member, and it's just a good opportunity to get to know the organization and our history and what we're all about. And so that will be after next week's meeting. As far as announcements, one announcement is that we have sold out all the vendor spots at our market that we're holding in October in 36 hours. So, pretty amazing. What's taken weeks for past markets did in 36 hours this time. So if you are interested in having a booth at all, even if you're a Knox Makers member wanting to show some items, not sell, I would still go and put your name on the wait list. We have a special link for Knox Makers members. If you need to figure out what that is, you can ask myself or some of the board members or whoever afterwards. But yeah, get on that wait list because we're still trying to figure out everything setting up. With that, we're also going to do the mystery machine, the Maker Mystery Machine again with the capsules. Those were a big hit at the last Maker Market. So if you have something to contribute that will fit in the capsules that are out there, little plastic capsules, and are willing to donate it, we are looking for more. And so we are opening for any donations of things you might want to contribute. So last time we had fishing flies, 3D printed frogs or toads or whatever they were. We had little intricate tatted things. Like, it was crazy the amount of stuff we had in those. So if you are willing to donate something for this market in October, on October 1st, we would greatly appreciate it. Also, we will need help changing the filters on the air units and taking out the trash. So can I get some hands for taking out trash? Great. Or is there still trash? Trash has already been taken out. All right, great. Thank you for volunteering anyways. We do need help changing out the filters in the units, though. And related to that, Wes is going to be working on these tanks with the water pumps in them below the units. So if you are willing to help him out with that, you can see him. Yeah. So just go see him after we're done here. There's some water standing in there, so probably need some extra hands to help take them down and clean them out and get them back in working order. So if you're willing to help with that, and then so anybody to help change filters. Great, thank you, and thank you.
That includes air handlers too, and Bay 3. Yeah.
Okay, air handlers in Bay 3 as well. All right, great. So we have those, and with that, I don't have any other announcements other than we're going to open up the workshop and hope you stick around and hang out, and thank you for coming tonight.